Hey guys, this is C.S.A. I'm Angie.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Caroline.
And we're here to bring you the penultimate episode of season 2, episode 212, Son and Fun.
Woo woo!
And the name made so much more sense after that. Because when I first heard it, I was like, what the hell is Son and Fun? None of this is happening. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, where are we going with that?
This particular episode is written by Lisa Randolph, who also gave us Fear Response, Internal Affairs, last year's penultimate episode, The Professionals, and Alma Mater. So she is a veteran.
Ooh,
yes.
A whole bunch of them.
And the man, the myth, the legend, director Chris Grismer. Love him. So let's kick it. Let's go. So I literally have a timestamp for 1 second, which might be the first time I've done that all year.
Yeah, probably is.
1 second, Feral Malcolm kicks ass. Like I did that whole scene was amazing because he doesn't really let go. He keeps doing the I'm fine. He hides it. He tells everyone he's doing okay. And for once, we finally got to see Malcolm just lose his ever-loving shit.
Mm-hmm.
Much needed. And I'm sure Tom enjoyed, like, hey, we want you to demolish this set, please. And he's like, sweet. And then he just got to like kick stuff and throw stuff everywhere and do all of it. So
just take down a whole bookcase. Like, why not?
Legitimately. And I'm sure they were added in post, but you got like sparks flying and all this other stuff going on. And it's another nice little plot device to get us to the butterscotch, which we need. But just anytime, male, female, whoever, someone just gives one of those like nasty arms clenched yell thing, I'm like, ooh, emotion. So we have a possibility, and I'm going to hit on this at the end actually, that maybe the destruction of this cell is foreshadowing. We shall see, given the preview for the finale. I also love, and we discussed this a little bit as a group, like best case scenario, Danny was at least there for the yell and fall, if not for the entire situation. Like that's a long hallway. She has to get let in.
Yep.
So she at least saw the end of that breakdown or heard it, my God. How did no one come running, by the way?
Okay, but we've had this issue so many times with arguments in that cell.
Mr. David and his selective hearing.
Like, those damn Whitleys, like it's almost a sitcom, like those Whitleys.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. So apparently, they're just like, it's Malcolm. We know it's fine. We also get, in my opinion, at least until we see the finale, the best disheveled hair of the season in this scene.
Yes.
It is prime and delicious.
Evenly.
Dude, he still has the split, which honestly, I'm telling you, I'm hurting for season 1 hair. I loved his hair in season 1.
Me
so
too.
At least it's a little parted and shaggy instead of just
Yep.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. It gave me first season feels. At 126, Malcolm tries to originally claim that all of this is, I can't live like this. What if he finds me? Blah, blah, blah. And Danny immediately calls that shit out. She's like, it has nothing to do with that. You don't want to lose your father. And I like that she doesn't say it condescendingly. I mean, later we get a little bit more of her true feelings on the matter, but I like that it's very much like, you're allowed to not want your dad to be dead, even though he's kind of a creepy asshole. But I mean, again, we hit on this so much last episode. Like, the children of serial killers are allowed to love their dad.
Yeah.
And wish that he wasn't gone or in prison. It doesn't mean that that person is a good person. It just means that you're allowed to have that connection to them. And that's the entire core of this show. The entire show stems on the Malcolm Martin relationship. Its effects. Is it going to come back around? Is one of them going to change? Is the other going to change? Is both of them going to change? And here we kind of come at the end of season 2, maybe reaching full circleness at some point, depending on how that finale goes. I'm not going to mention that right now. I'll wait till we get to the end. Did anybody else, I was tracking this butterscotch. From day one, I was like, what the hell is the point of the butterscotch? Is she a creep about it? Whatever. And sure enough, this episode shows us it's literally a plot device the whole time to put together that Capshaw had something to do with it. If we didn't have the butterscotch, we don't have the wrappers, we don't have any of that. And so it made more sense because I'm like, is that just a weird affectation that she has, like a monocle, but instead it's like, I like butterscotch? And so finally I was like, and there it is. Like, now it all makes sense that this butterscotch, other than being a weird sexual thing between the two of them, I don't want to talk about.
It's the antithesis to Malcolm's lollipops, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Don't cry.
No,
Hold it.
That's later. I'll cry later. But
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the fact that, like, okay, it's more hard candy. Like, that just went over my head because my first thing was, ooh, creepy. Why butterscotch? That's an old person thing. All I could picture was like my grandma always having Werther's Original in her church purse. Like,
hey, those are good.
I mean, to this day, I still love them, even though I'm channeling like a 90-year-old woman every time I eat them. So at 2:40, creepy state policeman alert.
Oh my gosh.
And not even in what is happening right now, creepy state policeman alert. Like, full on, I just wrote flirty McOo gross. Like,
yeah.
Ew. That's all I can think of. And then we know, based on his comment, he said something like, oh, I've heard that one before. Like, do you just full on hit on every chick you pull over? Hey, baby, come here often? No, you pulled me over. I don't come here often. Like, he was just disgusting. And here's the thing, I am not Team Capshaw. I love the fact that CZJ plays her amazingly and she's terrifying. I'm not rooting for her by any means. And even then I was like, run! Like, I wanted to get away from the creep.
Yeah, that was just, I think in Discord I just put in all caps, ew.
Yeah.
Just also, so like, even just the innuendo of like, can I take a look at your trunk? Like, okay, listen.
Yeah,
like,
disgusting.
Yeah, it was, and I just wrote, stay classy, cop. Like, he was the worst. So while this whole traffic stop is occurring, and Capshaw kind of flips the switch, like she starts turning on the charm and we have strong, sexy policemen like you to protect us. Just the whole, but the moment she does, we have like a theme. And it's not necessarily her theme that she gets all the time, but there's very much like these kind of, at first they're real fancy, pretty strings. It's like, oh, it's the pretty lady, like, excuse me, officer, what have I done? And then it starts just chopping off these little 2 notes at a time. There's like a chorus or a single person singing in the background. And it's got like this like kind of feel undertone to it that you're like, that's how good she is. And we see another scene about that later, how she just literally goes from like, and then right back to it. Like, she can flip it, and it's classic creep show. Classic.
Also, can we just mention like how she just casually has a syringe of some pretty hardcore painkiller or sedative chilling in her glove box?
Legitimately, it's so funny. Like, I didn't even recognize it in the second watch because by the first watch we had seen the storage unit. And so then the second watch, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a syringe. She's got like 95 pounds of shit in their storage unit. But you're right. Like, that's a weird thing.
Yeah, she's just got like the glove box seems pretty damn empty. She's just got a syringe with the needle
safety
attached,
fentanyl
chilling in the glove box. Like, the needle's not even separated. Loaded.
You never know when you're gonna have to just stab somebody in the spine and throw them in the back of your truck.
I mean, she's just ready for anything. It's just creep.
She's like a Boy Scout of really heinous serial killers.
Yes, she is.
She's not a serial killer. She's an angel of mercy. Whatever. But still. Guys, we did not have a black title card. We have not had one this whole season.
Oh.
And I thought for sure we might get one. And now if we don't get one in the finale, I'm going to be a little perturbed. Because they've happened on very important episodes in Malcolm's life, right? Like they happened in, what was it, Alone Time? And then the finale of season 1, like massive info dumps of things that happened to him. So I feel like we almost have to have one for the finale, given preview and how things look. I'm like, okay, I feel like this is going to be like a major turning point again in Malcolm's life. So if we don't get a black title card, I might be a little miffed. 437, the first words out of the title card are Malcolm at high decibels.
They were having sex.
Really loud. It was like, whoa, calm down, killer.
Yep, way to bury the lead.
And then I died when Gil says boffing. He's like boffing a serial.
That and JT.
Yeah, TMI. I've never
boff.
heard that euphemism though. Boffing. That must be something from
Yeah.
a different region, because that's not something we use in the old Ohio. So yeah, I chuckled.
In that scene, Malcolm actually answers a question that I had in one of our in our episode that followed 208, which was Aurora Boros, and I had asked after Martin was actively fantasizing in front of Malcolm, I had asked, does he know what the general context of that fantasy was, or did he assume it was about murder? And Malcolm answers it that he knew that he was having an erotic fantasy. And I was like, yeah, answered my question.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen a lot.
No,
questions go, unfortunately, dangling into the abyss somewhere. So
yeah, so that was nice that the episode
one,
the episode answered it for me. So I was excited about that.
So I have at 5:26, this is the time when like Marshall Ruiz kind of says, you're off my case, blah, blah, blah. And I'm a little frustrated with this, not just like Team Malcolm, because he's right in this whole episode and no one believes him, but like nothing about the Marshalls showing up at that orchard was on him.
Yeah.
They all showed up based on the intel that JT got. All of it, like everything that they showed up for was not some blind nonsense all because of Malcolm and it turned out wrong. First of all, you found a fucking fugitive. Sorry. You found a fugitive. I didn't even mean to do that. That just came out. You found a fugitive at the orchard. So how was that bad intel?
Yeah.
Like, you literally got one who was holding a family hostage.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Really
like they wouldn't have had. Yeah, they wouldn't have shown up. Like regardless, the family was being held hostage. So,
and they got one of the three fugitives. The other one happened to be laying dead, splattered by Ruiz on a freaking bowling alley. Like you got one out of the remaining. You're 50% at this point for the remaining living fugitives, and you're bitching like you led us up some wrong tree. And I'm like, hello.
That's true.
So at the end of this scene, once he gets kicked off, I really enjoyed just the intensity of everybody in the conference room, except for maybe JT. JT was super chill, like something mochaccino, and he was fine. But like Gil straight smacking a table, like I've had enough of this. You got to calm down. I'm absolutely here for that. I also love Danny, like just I am scared, and not like, oh, I'm scared of what's going to happen. She's like, you're scaring me, like you're reaching levels that are not okay. And she says, you barely made it through the last manhunt. You're not going to make it through another one. And sure enough, by end of episode, he's involved in another manhunt. Happens to be one of the people being hunted, or at least looked for, if you want to quantify what his relationship in that hunt would be. So there's a whole lot of foreshadowing there, like almost to the point where we should have had some like dun 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 like behind what she said. So our next scene at 7:35 is we finally get the awesome camera shot, like panning up the hill into this gorgeous mansion house that we know is nowhere near water. Nicely done, tricky mixed set design, but it was actually surrounded by woods and nowhere near a lake or an ocean or anything else like that. But we hear a song. So we have a classical song playing on literally like on record. While Vivian Capshaw, now the world's creepiest chica, and it happens to be, so she mentions the name, she mentions Rachmaninoff, who is a famous Russian composer. Me being who I am, I have the exact label. Let me take a breath. Symphony number 2 in E minor, opus 27, number 3, Adagio. That's the name of what's playing on the record.
Okay, Angie.
Because Moonlight Sonata or something simple was just way too much. We had to give it like full-on Dewey Decimal System numbers and get it all the way through. I mean, maybe if you write so many, 1, 2, 3, 4 is just not as fun as it used to be.
Let's title this song with like every description of
and it has like every subset that you would put in a symphony. Like symphony number, opus number, and then category number with under that, because once the symphony number and the opus number are numeric, and then the category numbers are always like Roman numeral, like III, IV, IVII, like all those. And I'm like, okay, you literally just went down to every possible category you could to label this damn thing. whatever, make you feel special there, Rachmaninoff. That being said, I mean, it is beautiful. I have heard this before because I'm a super nerd and I have a lot of classical music around. This particular section, the entire thing is like, I wanted to say it was like 2.5 hours if you played the entire symphony with like every subset going on. So it would be something that like an orchestra would sit down and play for one concert. Like that whole thing is one giant concert. You can listen to subsets in like 4 and 5 minute sketches like what this was. So the beginning of the melody is like kind of super uplifting and cheery, and it's a nice contrast to the reality of her just being psycho McPsycho the whole time, talking about like, this is gonna be great while he's paralyzed and can't move and all that fun stuff. There's a really cool buildup though that we kind of sort of get to it and then it gets cut off, unfortunately. There's like a nice little climax that ends in C major, and C major for music nerds is very much kind of, it's almost a bland chord. It is the middle C is like your middle chord on the piano. It's a major chord, so they don't always feel as rich as the minor chords, which I mentioned before, like the black keys on a piano. But like C major is literally like, it's like playing a recorder.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of cool extra stuff out of it. It's like the bare basics you could ever hit, and that intensity kind of matches then the creepy. Like it starts off really pretty and it starts off really fancy, and then by the time you get to this crescendo, it's just like it's kind of literally what's going on. Could you even hear that sound? I didn't think about the fact that this cuts off sound.
It bleeped out, but it's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. Britt can give me some amazing like dolphin sound effect or something, I don't know, just to make it hilarious. I always forget that this thing cuts off my sound effect. But anyway, yeah, so it starts off really contrasting cap shot, and then by the end of it, it's like, oh, okay, this is matching her perfectly. I really do like the dress she had on. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but it was super cute.
Okay, but I was literally just about to say that when you paused. I was like, I looked down at my notes and I was like,
we all just did the girliest thing ever.
Yes.
We're all sitting here like straight face, and then I'm like, dress.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yes. I am not, not a girly girl, but like I wrote like in my notes, full stop on the creepy. Her dress is gorgeous.
I mean, here's the thing: Catherine Zeta is a like all I picture is her from Zorro. Like, I mean, she was the epitome, and still is by all means, a gorgeous woman. And so that the coloring worked with her dark hair and her eye color. It was just a very nice combo. Well done wardrobe on that part. It was very cool, and it kind of had that like cotton summer thing feel to be by the water too, which was kind of cool. Which is a complete contrast to later when Chick is in like leather pants and black and boots and let's just be full on psycho. At 9:04, I feel like I've done this the last 6 episodes, but I'm gonna keep doing it. I call bullshit on the whole backstory on how Martin got inside that house. Like we talked about it last episode. I want to know how the hell she got out of the infirmary that fast. I really do. I want to know how she snuck up on him and stabbed him with the needle. Fine, I'll give you that. That can absolutely happen. He fell to the ground. She picked his dead weight up and put him into the trunk. Question number 1. And didn't have like a full-on pull her back out scenario. Didn't get caught by any cameras that undoubtedly are pointed at the freaking parking lot of the psychiatric facility.
Yeah.
Then not only did that happen, she dragged his ass in from outside that loop-de-loop driveway too into the mansion and sat him up in a wheelchair. No, she didn't.
And got him dressed in a nice suit.
She didn't. and dressed him in the gorgeous suit so he looked fancy. Did his hair, made sure she got that, whatever it was in there. But I'm just like, no, she didn't. I said she would have to have the most elaborate system of pulleys inside her house to be able to do that. Like, it would look like backstage at Broadway, like, for all of this to work. So no. I call no on all of it. Not buying it whatsoever. And I think, Kara, was it you that had something to hit on this tap, the spinal thingy she does? Oh, it was Jess. I'm sorry, Jess. Yeah.
That's Jess.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So she mentions Martin goes to move like in the wheelchair, and she was like, "Don't do that. You don't want to hurt yourself." So she mentions that she used a spinal block on him, and she says that she used lidocaine. So one of the things about lidocaine is, yes, it's a numbing agent. It's a commonly used one. It can be injected or used topically, but it's not a super powerful one in terms of the fact that it sets on fast and really only has a very good working time, about an hour or two. Some people, if they're lucky, everybody's bodies function differently, but some people are lucky, they can get closer to like 3 hours with it. I used it in the strongest over-the-counter form you can, which I believe is like 5% for my tattoos. One of them, it didn't work at all. The other one, it actually worked quite well. So, but it does have a, it's common and it does have a short time. So I was just like, so you stabbed him with something and then gave him a nerve block. When did you do that? Because if you did that the night before, like, it ain't lasting to where you are now.
And that's the thing, right? Like it's sunny. Like, yeah. So she was being pulled over by the cop in the dark. So how long was he under? Yeah. What was going on there? Did she go like rest up and like ice her legs before she got him out of the trunk? Like,
yeah. And I don't know how many times you can do a nerve block in a row in the same spot or to the same limb or to the same area kind of thing.
I can tell you, I got 2 epidurals, one right after the other. When
I was about to say
during labor.
Oh boy.
And they still only took to one side. So my left side was double numb and my right side felt the whole thing. Thanks, honey.
Oh boy.
Yep.
So, yeah. So we see that he can use his legs, but it's a struggle. So I was just like, how long ago did you give that to him? Because that ain't going to last all day.
And at this point, he is not like strapped into the wheelchair like he is later.
No.
Like he's just there. He's not like cuffed into it or anything. At 9:40 at the end of this, when she like does the kind of like behind the back, oh, it's gonna be amazing, we're gonna be so happy, they deliberately distort the symphony that's playing in the background, the Rachmaninoff, and they it, like literally like twist it and grind it, like it goes sharp, it goes flat, it goes sharp, it goes flat, and it's just really cool way to literally represent her mental state with all of it. I love when they do stuff like that and just kind of play it slightly off enough that you're like, uncomfortable ears, no thank you, and it plays well.
I love that dissonance. I called it like melting.
Yeah.
It's just like a visual of just like something, just swirling together.
Yeah. It reminds me of in The Trip when Mac the Knife gets really distorted as Malcolm starts to Angie. I knew you'd notice that. Because I believe that was the song that was playing when it got all distorted.
Yeah, I wrote a big old like giant ass paragraph about all the lyrics related to it and everything. But then by the time he starts hallucinating, it's like it just falls. Yes, ma'am, you are correct. At 13:05, we meet Zyger, who is apparently a previous patient of Capshaw with a house I want.
Yeah,
like that whole room he was in was like, what in the, like it has a ramp and a staircase. I'm like, what is this, like a castle? Anyway, it was really cool. Caroline has some stuff to tell us about that, so go Caro.
Yeah, so as a speech language pathologist, Ainsley and Malcolm come in and they his assistant points out that he has a high level cervical spinal cord injury. And Ainsley is like, can he talk? And then of course he starts talking and he does this, whatever. I was very confused for the entirety of this situation. I was like, I would like to preface this. I don't work with this population, but I have a friend who does. And so we just talked on the phone earlier today because we were like, what the hell was that? So he had a tracheostomy tube, which means he had a hole at the base of his neck that is basically used as a replacement airway. There's a whole lot of complicated mess that we can get into on this, but basically whenever you create a different airway, you have to think about what caused, like, why do you need to do that? Why can't you just breathe through your mouth? And in his case, it could be a whole bunch of different things. He could have had paralysis. If your vocal folds are shut, like your vocal folds are at the top of your airway, there's no air coming in through your mouth down to your lungs. So that would necessitate it. But there's a whole bunch of reasons, but rarely do we see it. It seems like he's been like this for a long time. And we don't normally, the whole point usually when we put you on a tracheostomy, and we give you a trach tube is to hopefully wean you off of it, because we want the normal airway. Some people have it for long term and have it permanently, but we try not to do that. So it just made me think, like, how much research did they do into this? I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, and I mean, based on those trinkets, it has been years. Like if she did that every year on the anniversary, there was multiple ones of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and for some people that is the case, and they'll have it for the rest of their lives. But I don't. The other thing about that, like I said before, if you're creating an airway right here, there has to be a reason. And usually it's because, there's some sort of blockage, or like people who have head and neck cancer, if that gets to your vocal folds, they take it out. And then you have to have that airway right there. But this guy also had a nasal cannula, which means he had air coming in through his nose. I don't know if anybody knows this, but your nose and your mouth, they're both connected to your airway. That's the same tube. So my friend was like, so what is the air just like going right out? I likened it to, it's like turning on an air conditioner and then opening up the door. The air just goes right back out. I was like, what is the point of this? And so
it's
also
TV hospital stuff.
It's called,
to make him look super invalid,
Yes. It's called We Don't Do SLP on Television. Thanks. The other thing was that when Ainsley's like, can he talk, the nurse comes over and she like clicks this thing in and it makes this like rocket ship noise. And I was like, that is... I asked my friend, I was like, have you ever heard that? And she was like, not that I've seen. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure no. Usually, especially when he had that cervical spinal cord injury, you're on a ventilator and the ventilator can connect to that tube. There was nothing connected to that trach. I looked. There was nothing. It was just hanging out there. And I did not see this nurse take anything off or put anything on.
Like, did she touch a magic button? Like, talk, flip? Like,
I was like, I mean, maybe it was just really hard to see, but I didn't see nothing, and I rewatched that God knows how many times. So right. I got questions, because usually what they do is they put one of these in. This is a picture of what's called a passimura valve, and this is a special kind of valve that you can put in the trach to allow a person to talk. It does things with the airflow to allow you to talk, or you can cap it. You can literally cap up the trach, so then you talk normally. Neither of those things happened in this situation. But the monitors all start going crazy, and they're like, the nurse is like, you need to leave. And it's like, well, no, duh, he's losing all this air. He's going to die. Like, no, duh. God, but yeah.
Thanks for that, TV doctors.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And also it showed on his sats, like at least from what I could see, his oxygen looked really good. The only thing that jumped was his heart rate. So I'm like, at least when I'm assessing some person, like if their oxygen starts, draining, I'm like, ooh, but his oxygen was fine. So
right.
Whatever. I'm just going to leave.
Yeah, we made a lot of noises and it sounded official. That's exactly what it is.
Whatever.
So immediately following that, at 15:31, we have a quote that it made me feel torn, where Capshaw says, people take comfort in confining women to their expected roles. And the reason I felt torn is because I almost stood up and slow clapped.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hell yeah, they do.
She's not wrong.
Like, oh, wait, it's Capshaw. Boo. I had to think. I'm just, yeah. Oh, wait, no, I hate you. Stop. Boo. But that's, God, what a true statement.
Yeah.
What a true statement. And she hits on things that are similar to this, like the thing later where she says, like men are more comfortable when they're, they feel superior to their sexual partners and this and that. And I'm just like, yep. And then I'm like, but I don't want to agree with you. Stop being insightful.
Yeah, she's gross.
You're gross.
You nasty.
And honestly, this is exactly why no one believes Malcolm's theory.
Yeah.
Literally because of that. And later, Gil even says the phrase, what are the odds? She's got him, Martin, held captive, or he's chopping up the pretty doctor right now. Like, he even threw the phrase pretty in front of the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were literally like, she's a female, there's no way. And I get it, because physically there's no way, but we're gonna move on that. We're gonna keep going. But yeah, so there was like a little mini arcing theme throughout that really hit, and even like our own people we love kind of fell into it a little bit. Absolutely adored the full-on horror film screechy stuff as Martin is trying to, you know, crawl his way to the phone and she's watching. I mean, it was so classic. Like like it was almost Psycho at this point. You know, like we almost have the full-on like the whole time. And that at 17:09, who does he call? Jesse. Jess, have you ever gone by Jesse ever?
No, I hate it.
I'm not calling you that after this show.
The only person,
like, nope.
I've only ever let one person, maybe two people ever call me that, and it's just because they were like grandparents and I didn't have somebody else's grandparents and I didn't have the heart to correct them, so it's just like, no, I hate that. Jess or Jessica, that's it. Do not call me Jessie.
All the time I've known you, you've never said a thing about it or anyone calling you that.
Yeah,
so
none of you guys have tried.
Those people. Yeah, she's one of the anti-Jessies. I feel
none of you guys have tried to call me that, so I haven't been like, I've had people ask me, and I'm like, you can call me whatever the hell you please, just please don't call me Jessie. Honestly.
At 18:05, so Capshaw has gotten on the phone with Jess, and she's kind of talking about all this stuff. And I'm going to say what's probably an unpopular opinion. I'm 100% with Jess on her decision.
Yeah.
I really am. And so here's my argument. Now, again, I'm not anti-Martin. I'm anti him as the creepy serial killer. Love the character in terms of our show. But I just, as a mother, thinking about if my son was falling apart, my family's doing all this, like, this is a chance for Martin to disappear without one of them pulling the trigger.
Yep.
This is a chance for her to know, even though other people might not know, he's gone. He's been handled. She doesn't have to wonder anymore. And all she has to do is just not alert the authorities.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all she has to do. And given everything that's happened, given the fact that he's escaped again and all the stuff that's going on with the fact that he's screwing with Ainsley now, I don't know that I would have made a different decision. I'm with her. I'm kind of with her.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say anything.
I hate Martin. I just, as a mother, I'd make that same decision.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say anything from a mother's decision, but I mean, I guess I get it. But I also do see how in that moment, she's still torn too, because her first reaction, she says to her, is, you can't do this. And then when Capshaw lays it out. Yeah. So Capshaw lays it out, and then she's just like, okay. And just
wait. Maybe you can.
Walks
away from the phone.
Yeah.
It also cracks me up that they still have some form of a landline in that house. Like, I don't even have time to go through that today, but still, it works. Whatever. So before I let you guys hit the med side of some of this stuff, so we have Martin has been full on strapped, a la Malcolm at Night, to a bed. And before we get to like the cocktail of shenanigans she likes to play, I just want to shout out Catherine Zeta-Jones, because her acting, first of all, in this whole episode was amazing. But specifically the fact that this woman delivers so many lines while pretty crying.
Yep.
Like, there are times where she's just talking to him about like the different syringes, and there are just tears falling. And I love it because it's not tears of sadness.
Yep.
Like, she is happy. Like, in my opinion, those moments when she's just, pick one, come on, let me show you what I can do. Like, she is finally like, I'm going to prove to the man I love that I'm as good as him, and he's going to be so proud of me, and it's going to be amazing. And like, she is just like, this is the best day ever. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's really amazing. And creepy, disgusting, but amazing.
Extremely.
Before I move into your stuff, there is this little theme that plays when she's talking about, like his heart stopping after some things have occurred. She talks about like, you can feel your heart stopping, blah, blah, blah. And there's a little theme that starts off very similar to the Rachmaninoff. And then it absolutely switches over when she does her little heel up, and I'm so excited on the bed. Like, isn't this perfect?
Oh my gosh.
He's over there going, no beat, no heartbeat, no heartbeat. So that was a cool little theme. So explain to us what the heck is going on with these little cocktails of syringes, because I only knew one. I was like, oh, fentanyl, because I live in Ohio and fentanyl has taken over the damn state. So I know all about fentanyl. Like, we have ODs constantly from fentanyl. Other stuff though, tell me what's some other things. What do we got?
Yeah, so I mean, God, it's like she just pulled out all the stops here. I was like, oh my God, what don't you have on you?
We haven't even gotten to the storage unit.
Literally. So, right? So she has adenosine. She has, I'm going to mess up the pronunciation of this, Rivotril. And fentanyl. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, but what I was able to find is that adenosine basically slows your heart down, which we saw exactly what happened to Martin. Rivotril, it looks like it actually is kind of like chemically the same thing as clonazepam or Klonopin, which is a common anti-anxiety drug.
That stuff that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Or at least in low doses.
Yeah, which for some people, it's like used to treat panic attacks, and I think of panic attacks and I think of like my heart speeding up and everything, and I guess in some cases it does slow everything down, but it can also speed things up. So my guess is maybe that was like her adenosine was like a, I don't even want to use this term, but like a downer versus an upper, kind of like pull him back and forth.
Layman's terms. That's a good way to describe it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's my guess, but honestly, knowing her, I don't even want to know what she was planning to do at the end of the day with this combination. And then fentanyl, which would slow everything down again. The whole time that this was happening, I couldn't stop thinking about who she reminds me of, who is Jane Toppin, who was a nurse in the
Ratchet.
Oh, is that who she was based on? Oh, yes. Well, that's
That's not sarcasm. I'm being serious.
Oh, no. I don't know. Oh yeah, so then maybe people do know her. I know her from a serial killer standpoint, obviously, because I'm a millennial. But yeah, she was also known as Jolly Jane. She was someone who basically did what C.S.A did, was she sort of like sedated patients to pull them back down and then brought them back from the brink of death. And we'll get into more of that later when Malcolm talks about the angel of death stuff. But I couldn't help but think that, this is happening in a TV show, but to have like a nurse or a doctor actually doing this to an actual person is absolutely freaking terrifying. So,
and there's been quite a few of them. Like, yikes.
Yeah, no, I was reading an article that was talking about nurses as serial killers and how there's a high population of them today, like in modern times. People just admitting, like, yeah, I've killed 12 people just for the hell of it. Like, excuse me? Yeah.
Because they seem the least likely one to do it.
Exactly. So, because like Vivian said, like, we just tend
to position of trust.
Yes,
are the people
exactly.
You never expect,
And a woman too. Like, you just wouldn't. Yeah, generally.
Women are serial killers. They can't do that, says C.S.A.
Yeah, exactly. Like Eileen Warnos who? But yeah, no, she just does all sorts of crazy, terrifying stuff. And one of our EPs, Carrie, also mentioned that she injects this drug, not intramuscularly, at least we don't think, but intraoscularly, I think that's how I'm pronouncing it. So
which literally made me want to vomit later.
Oh, I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, that's cool that you can do that. It basically just goes in through the bone marrow.
It goes in faster.
Yeah, quicker access to be absorbed, which I guess is
the minute we have power tools connecting to humans, I tap out. No.
But I think it's absolutely fascinating. So this is why we work.
I mean, here's the thing, like logistically, I'm like, okay, that's crazy that you do that. I ain't trying to look at it, even if it's fake for TV, but I mean, it's cool. At 21:47, we have the team in the conference room. Malcolm is pleading his case. Coincidentally, he's begging for them to listen to the profile that is dead on, like absolute perfection. At this point, he has fully switched from calling him Dr. Whitley or the surgeon or anything else, and it's full on Martin and my father the whole time.
Yeah.
In an interview, with the Surgeon Files podcast that I'm totally going to shamelessly steal a quote from. Tom says that he even got so into character with that struggle that at one point during filming, he called himself Malcolm Whitley instead of Malcolm Bright, and the director had to cut and say, "No, you're Bright." Yeah. And he went, "Oh shit." Like, so he got like so into being like, "That's my dad, I'm Malcolm, am I Malcolm Bright, am I Malcolm Whitley," that he misspoke, and they went, "No, nope, that's not what we're saying right now." So it was kind of cool to see that like he's so dedicated and into that he full on like flubbed lines in the name of getting it right. So during this profile, he throws some labels out that if you've watched any other kind of like crime drama show or any true crime stuff, it's going to sound super familiar. I think Criminal Minds use this like every other episode half the time. So Kara, give us the rundown. What do we got?
Yeah, so he says that she has something called malignant hero syndrome, which in all of my researching, I wasn't able to find. So that's interesting if you guys have heard that on Criminal Minds.
I've never heard it called that. I've heard the other term.
Yes, yeah. Which he says is a subset of the like angel of mercy or angel of death trope.
Which is that also like the hero homicide thingy that I've heard before too?
I have not heard that term, but I believe that it exists.
I'm assuming that's all in the same wheelhouse, probably.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure. Yeah, which again ties into how I thought that Capshaw was very much like Jane Toppin, who literally was like doing things like bringing people to the brink of death and then pulling them back up again. And she later, because obviously they imprisoned this woman, or else we never would have known that she did this. She said that she kind of like wanted to get the recognition for it, but also kind of got off from it, which I just know in Capshaw, I don't even want to think about it.
I mean, that's most serial killers' MO.
No,
like,
that's
almost all of them. It's like, this is how I get my fun time.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah, and Capshaw even mentions
swallowing bile.
Yeah, Capshaw even mentions something regarding that, like more towards the end too.
Yeah, just absolutely nasty. Yeah. But yeah, just taking recognition from it. It also reminded me of another actual real life case. If anyone's listened to the podcast Dr. Death about neurosurgeon.
I feel like I listened to that, or at least a piece of it.
Yeah, it's really popular. A lot of people have. It's about a former doctor named Christopher Dunch, who was a neurosurgeon. Yes. Who had a whole hero complex, but destroyed lives. And he, like Capshaw, he resigned in order to not get reported, which is exactly what Capshaw did and what Gil points out. And he's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, why would this doesn't make sense?" And Malcolm's like,
"It's
no,
literally correct. Like, it is literally the exact thing that happened."
That is exactly what happens all the time, and a lot of people don't know this, which is terrifying.
This happens in my profession too. Unfortunately, a couple years ago, where I work, we had someone get accused of something with a student, and the option was resign, or we're going to investigate you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. If you've seen, the documentary.
Now that being said, it was like some text messages and like not something that was far enough that it absolutely should have been like police investigation. They would have reported it if it was like that, but it was enough to be misconduct.
Yeah.
And be like, "Listen, you have crossed the line. Do you want us to report this? If not, you need to step back and say you're leaving willingly." And so that's how that went down.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens
in a lot of professions. I feel like it's in a lot of professions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, happens to priests.
Do you want to say
to
fake
teachers.
and resign, or do you want us to fire you and that be on your permanent record? Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So because I'm me, the address on the paper for the storage unit,
oh my gosh,
happens to be 852 Rolling Way, Peekskill, New York, which is not shocking. A storage unit. It's an apartment complex, like suburban apartment complex, not like in a downtown, like a whole bunch around some roads, and you can actually street view through the complex if you wanted to. So I'm really interested in like if that's important to the writers or someone on the set design or something, like that was their first apartment, or I don't know, something like grandma lives there. I don't know, something like that.
Because it's a real address, but it's completely random.
Yeah, and it's absolutely like 6 or 7 apartment buildings with like a couple circle clover shaped drives and stuff around them. So I was like, that must be important to someone. In that same wheelhouse at 23:21, I had to literally listen to this with subtitles on because I could not figure out what the hell Danny says. When Gil says, "Do you really think this is true?" And she says, "I think it's a peaceful drive up the sawmill," which is a parkway. Like it's a highway.
Mm-hmm.
I heard sawmill and I could not figure out what she was saying. I'm like, is this like a phrase, like an idiom I've never heard of? A colloquialism? What does it mean? And then by the time I drive up and I was like, oh, and then I researched it's a north and southbound highway. So they're talking about the distance. Malcolm claims it's only an hour away. Wrong, it's an hour and a half, Malcolm, you liar. But he was playing the short game to try to get people to go with him, so he didn't care. So Danny goes full knowing, like, listen, this is probably gonna be nothing, but maybe it'll just shut him up and we'll calm him down. And she's pacifying him at this point. And because, to be honest, it's a lead. Like, that's good police work. Like, look, we have this lead. Let's just squash it and figure out if it's anything or not. I'll go. I'll talk to him in the car. That kind of thing. Like, she's kind of appeasing him a little bit. And that leads us to, since we already hit on bone marrow injections, the storage unit. Let's take a minute. Okay, I'm good. I'm ready. So again, before I get to the goodness, I have some technical stuff. Let's talk about that. First of all, I call complete and absolute bullshit number 2 that you are creating a storage unit and you put a light on the wall behind a shelf. Would not the shelf get things stacked on it? This light was strategically placed to secretly kill all of Brightwell Nation while it shined through the damn kiss the whole time. We're going to give it to him, but we're going to foobar any chances of GIF and video.
Oh my goodness. So look at Angie. If y'all can see what is going on, those of you who only listen to the audio, you are missing
I did my nefarious hands. Like, like, so, no. Like, this is storage unit. There's a shelf right there. I know. We'll put a light behind of the shelf so they can't use the storage thing for storage whatsoever. Nope. Stupid. Hate it. Angry. Very bitter. I did notice, and I was super proud of this as well, that on the shelf there happens to be a plastic bin that says property of Claremont Psychiatric Facility, do not remove from premises. And there's a little sticker with extra handwriting on it that says applications/referrals on this box that she's keeping in a storage unit for purposes.
Doing something illegal.
Is that even what's really in the box? Who knows? But clearly she's bringing home some stuff that's not exactly HIPAA friendly, if you will. Like, she, that stuff should not be in her personal storage unit whatsoever. She also has an entire Walgreens, CVS, whatever your local pharmacy term would be, in that freaking unit. Just shelves and drawers and vials, syringes, oh my, like, it's like the whole thing. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm wrong. I have a physician's assistant, I have a doctor in my family. Under no circumstance should a doctor have that kind of stuff. Not that amount. Like, I could see having like a couple, but like there's no reason for a doctor to have vials full of fentanyl for no reason whatsoever.
Nope.
Like, not a thing. All of the benzos and beta blockers and opiate, like, no, you don't have those things just because you're a doctor. And I was a little annoyed with Danny at that point. But like, oh, she's a doctor. Like, no, Danny, none of that. Like, this is like drug trafficking. Call freaking, what is it, ATF, something. Like, what? Something is going on here. It's not normal, regardless, one way or another. This is not normal for the doctor to have that kind of stuff.
No, and yeah, it doesn't faze her. Like, Danny,
right? Like, and I get
has a history with drugs.
Yeah,
and is a cop.
Like, homegirl has experience with these things, and she's like,
totally
"Oh, this is normal."
Yeah,
it's not like she's hoarding OTC meds. These aren't the ones you just walk in and grab off the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah. We have what is many of our favorite lines from this whole episode, where she basically says, "Look, I brought you down here to shut you up. I showed you some respect. Show me some respect." And literally, he just without thinking, just Danny, I respect you. Like, duh. Like the way he says it again is like we said before, grass is green, sky is blue, Danny's beautiful. I respect you. Like, duh.
Yep.
Like, of course I respect you. And again, I know we've all said like it's a good line. Let's all just coo for 10 minutes. Oh, we haven't even gotten to the good part yet. So we did have a little season 1 production flashback that I enjoyed as Malcolm kind of starts to get frustrated, like none of you care, you don't care if he lives or dies. He's silhouetted again, and this is the first time in a long time that he's been silhouetted while in peril, and as opposed to while he hides something from someone. He's in like emotional distress. He's talking about all this stuff, none of you care, blah blah blah, and they do that, and that made me very happy. And then we have our Brightwell theme kick in out of nowhere. Look at that, Nathaniel Bloom, drink more tea with friends. Oh. And I didn't even find this until today. I had my write-up completely done and I lost my crap in Discord with you guys. At 26:04, Malcolm is kind of basically saying like, I've been right before, I'm right on this. And as soon as he says that line, there's a note that plays and it's held for a while. It's like kind of a string synthetic blend note, whatever. And it is literally to the octave, the exact same note that opens the Don't Let It Get to You reprise from Headcase. To the point where when it played, I was writing something and I finished the piano notes from like Ross in my head. Like a do 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 do, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not the song. And I was like, oh my gosh! And so I went back and realized it, and it may be completely coincidental. Whatever, it was just the note that needed to play at that point. But I just went. That happens to be the song that plays when he wakes from his coma dream thingy, and he sees Danny for the first time and realizes like,
don't make
oh,
me
man,
cry. Don't make me cry.
Angie.
She's like, can't do this. Can't do this.
Nope.
I'm good. Breathe. So yes, that was a very cool thing. I appreciated it.
Whether it was intentional or not,
just gonna be out there killing me. Yeah. Even if it wasn't, so well. I caught it and it hit me right in the feel sack for sure.
It makes sense.
Oh my
That's
God.
creepy. Leave it in, Britt. Leave it in. That's
oh my gosh.
God. Sometimes my mouth goes faster than my brain. I got a little bright in me on occasion.
Yep. And what would Fry say to that?
We're not even going to unpack that. We're not going there at all. So for the first time, Malcolm kind of says to Danny in this scene, like, you don't care. And it wasn't even angry. It was just, no one cares. Like, why do you, no one cares but me. And I like that she in turn is kind of honest. She doesn't lie and go, I care, I want him to live. Like, she really doesn't. She doesn't want Malcolm to be in pain and be hurt over it, but she doesn't lie. And I love that she does not lie to him in this moment. Like, if we're going to be open, let's be open. And she kind of straight up says, okay, so what if he dies? And she throws the whole converse reality of you could be free. You could have a life, comma, unspoken with me.
Takes his hand and I'm like, I see you.
I mean, come on, like literally the sentence, and they're staring at each other. That sentence is right there hanging in the balance. The comma and the dangling participle on the end of it is absolutely in the air between the two of them at that moment. Then we have the heartbeats in the music, of course, because it's getting all deep. And finally,
it's canon!
A legit one!
Canon, it do the Elmo burning thing, like we finally get a kiss, and I'll be truthful, we talked about this too from the preview. I thought we were getting little head case smoochy smooch, and then maybe like, ooh, oh no, we've kissed. That's awkward. We got full on attack face, like
it happened.
Gasping for air gave me feels. That's all I'm gonna say. And because there's a musicless version of this running around the internet where all you hear are the sounds of the humans, and I needed like a cold compress at the end of it. I was like, holy Jesus, okay, this is the thing. But yeah, so I mean, this is 32 episodes of Will They, Won't They? This is 32 episodes of a building friendship that may be more, all that kind of stuff. And then Gil calls, The only time I will say this, fucking Gil.
I know.
I don't say this frequently. I love Gil. He does almost no wrong, but damn it, Dad, you're cock blocking your kids.
I know. Do you want grandkids or not?
Thank you. Oh my God, that stuff going around Twitter today, I was cracking up.
I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Was that Rosie that said it?
I think so.
You know, 9 minutes later, you have a grandbaby.
Yeah, exactly.
I was laughing so hard.
Yeah. If he just had waited a little bit longer.
So Malcolm's face, I paused it there and just stared for like 15 minutes as she pulls away, is like, don't go. Like, it was just, his hands are still out holding her phantom head right there. And it's like, no, like he's leaning in. He doesn't want her. And I just went, oh, my heart.
No, buddy.
I know. And of course, everyone's like, if he hadn't have called, it would have. I don't know how far things would have gone. They would have had a little bit longer, intense kissy kiss for sure.
Damn it, Dad.
Danny's kind of like shock face. Like, I don't think it's like I've made a mistake, but it's like, oh my God, that just happened. Like,
she's like, wow.
Like, we have crossed a line, and probably a little bit of, okay, that was better than I thought. You know, like
exactly, yeah. Like, he's pretty good.
Like, okay, he's good at that. All right, let's see. But of course, she's like, oh my God, Gil's calling. I just kissed Bright. Holy shit! Like, you know, she's very much like, I need to take a minute and decompress all of this information.
Yeah, she's a little.
And
frantic.
I absolutely love. I wrote. What did I write? Oh my God, look, adults adulting about relationships, because she says, let me take this phone call. I'll come back and we can talk. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
Yep.
Instead of like, let's kiss and run away and not talk about it for 6 episodes or do any of those tropes that people like to do.
Healthy communication.
But right, so just like the fact that they're actually having an adult approach where she's like, let's come back and discuss these events and not pretend like they didn't just happen. I loved it. Of course, Bright is Bright and that doesn't work out. But she tried at least to do that. Okay. How the hell does Danny not hear any of this going on? She did not have that much time to get that far down the road. Whatever. I'm assuming she didn't really, like, she's doing like me. Like, she's pacing while she talks somewhere away from Bright. She didn't, like, exit the whole building just to take a phone call. So I don't understand how there's no way she doesn't hear this. She doesn't hear the clomping heels, Bright running. He yells, like, who's there? Hey, like 12 times. And she just doesn't hear any of that. And then it's like, Bright? At the end, I'm like, guys, it's an indoor area that echoes. Like, her heels were echoing down 6 rows of this freaking unit. It is what it is. I adore how they use the automatic lights as breadcrumbs. Through this scene. No way how that would really work. Like, they would never go on and off that fast. Automated lights have like 10-minute timers and things like that. Like, that's not going to happen. But it is an absolutely gorgeous way where she runs and then like 40 feet behind her, it's like light off, light off, light off, light off. And it's literally breadcrumbs. Like, he's trying to catch up with her and the lights help him do that. And it's really cool.
Yeah, it's often a horror movie trope too that I've seen in a lot of movies. Like in hospitals.
And they do it.
Yep.
And they do it in Headcase.
Yeah.
In Headcase, the lights, when he's by the elevator and he's realizing everything that's going on and he realizes who the killer is, the lights in that hallway do the same 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then when he shoots and he doesn't wake up, the lights are doing this flicker. And there's a lot of, you know, Headcase comparisons, especially in the Brightwell department here. So I really like that. I thought that was neat. I want to know how the hell Capshaw actually got the meds. Did she get them before and then just hang out and wait for them to bone in the storage unit, like, and not leave? I'm so confused because she has meds, like, mission accomplished. At no point was she behind Bright and got time to go back in there. Whatever.
I wonder if she's helping.
Swiss cheese plot hole.
Swiss cheese, yeah. I feel like because that was not a injectable drug that she had, you know, a pill. I feel like she just had that on her because, like, hello, let's be honest, like I said at the beginning of the episode, she's got a syringe casually rolling around in her glove box.
But she literally claims that the whole reason she's at the storage unit to get busted, and anyway, it was like, oh, I needed to get supplies, and I'm like,
well, that's what I'm thinking is, like, she had that on her, but she was showing up to grab some of the other stuff and
I
get
see.
to it. Didn't get to
got
it
you.
before Malcolm and Danny got in there. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I mean, if anything, maybe she heard them and she's like, maybe they'll bone and I can just get out of here.
Yeah. Or maybe this is something else she enjoys. Like, maybe I'll watch and then
no!
It's Capshaw. I would not put it past her. Homegirl is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. At 29:29, naturally, Malcolm just surrenders himself, chomps on some pills, and jumps in the back of a trunk because he's Malcolm Bright.
We were all afraid of this after seeing some
The minute we saw those production photos and his hand was like this, I went, and he's taking pills willingly. God damn it.
You're like, are you serious? He's like willingly drugging himself for her to take him. What the hell, Malcolm?
And the minute Danny is back in that storage unit and is wondering where Bright is, what do we hear? The We're the Same theme.
Yep.
The minute Bright's gone and she knows, like, oh man, what's going on? After that, we have Gil talking to Jess, and I really liked that Gil admits at 32:13, in my weaker moments, I wanted him dead too. And then he pauses and finishes, for you.
Yep.
Sure, Gil.
Right.
But again, I love moments where like our characters are truthful.
Yes.
And like that's normal. Even if in a platonic sense, for Gil, he's watched Malcolm go through this stuff, Ainsley go through this stuff, Jess go through this stuff. It's easier for Martin to be dead. That's how this family moves on and gets on with their lives. And so even then, he's like, it would have been easier. It would have made it a lot better. And I do think maybe we have some foreshadowing at the end for that as well, because I have some theories about the finale and what's going to go down.
Yeah.
TBD.
I also just like how both Gil and Danny are like openly truthful with Jess and Malcolm and like sort of saying like, it's okay. Like you can feel these things. Like it's just nice to have both of them as like outside people who are like, he's messed up. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling. Because I think that they, despite all this therapy and, all the stuff that they've been through, they're still just so wrapped up in Martin being Martin.
I enjoyed the fact that Ainsley gets a little confession for us out of Danny a little bit. So Danny's pissed, of course. She's like, my brother's in trouble. Yeah, shocker. It's fucking Bright. We know.
Yep.
She's mad that, and a little bit of her is mad not only because he went rogue again, but also like we were supposed to come back and talk about the kiss.
Yeah.
And you just freaking flew. So she's taking that as like, oh, way to run from the situation after we just manhandled each other in a freaking unit. Like, okay, that's fine. They did. Come on, that was not chaste. That was like
no.
Yeah, that was not just a first kiss. That was like a throw you against the wall kiss.
Yeah, there were feelings.
Legit. Feelings. Sorry, I'm a song person. It pops up in my head. And so Ainsley says, okay, well, if he means anything to you, I need you to help me. And so that's like the call out. She's like, well, damn it. She kind of has to at that point. Well, okay. And then also Ainsley, for better or for worse, kind of helps prove Capshaw.
Yep.
And a little bit of Danny's probably like, son of a bitch. Yep. We told him this whole time he was wrong.
It wasn't him.
We're never going to live this down. At 35:50, I'm going to try to contain myself, but I'm going to say at least this much. Malcolm Bright in that head to toe black strapped to a bed is the things my dreams are made of. I'm just going to say it right now.
Yeah, I thought of you.
First of all, there's something about, like, literally, this is how trained we are by both our wardrobe and this show. Malcolm Bright, still in a full suit, shirt, and pants, is almost nude because there's no vest or blazer. Did they roll up his sleeves? My God, wrist! Yeah. Like, it's like ankle in a pilgrim village. Like,
yes.
Oh my goodness.
So legit, just to see, like, oh man, a couple buttons are undone. Like, holy crap!
Like chest hair. Oh wow!
So I was like, okay. And then I'm a whumper. I love my whump. So anytime he's like strapped down and we might have a little, physical torture angst stuff, I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I wrote Wump Central for this whole scene, and I could not help but think of how happy you were watching it.
Dude, I literally just sat there like I probably was just like, this is the best day ever. I love that we have the return of my boy. It's it's making a comeback. My girl was kind of owning the streets for a minute, but my boy's pulling a sharks and jets, and it's making a comeback. Probably the most poignant quote maybe in the entire series, in my opinion. At least this season, but honestly, I feel like the entire series. Vivian says, "Don't you share the popular opinion about Martin Whitley?" And Malcolm says, "Of course I do. He's a psychopath and unrepentant murderer." And she says, "Why are you here then?" And he says, "Because he also happens to be my father." I mean, that is the show in 4 lines of dialogue.
Yes.
And he finally admits it, because up until then, it's been the show. I am not my father. I am not my father. He's the surgeon. He's Dr. Whitley. He's not my dad and Martin, which he is now. And so we're finally, it's almost like Malcolm has just not dealt with any of this trauma, despite all the therapy, despite any of it. And now we're finally dealing with it.
Yep.
Strapped to a bed, about to have an embolism.
Oh my God.
Yep. Yeah, and that actually. Sorry, Angie.
No, it's fine.
She's just in dreamland over there.
It's amazing.
He says that, and it makes Martin smile. And it pans in right on Martin's face, and he just has this like grin that comes across his face, like, "Oh, he said that." It's like, no,
like we
stop.
literally get like a good 4 to 5 seconds of 10-year-old Malcolm and Martin, good dad Martin. You know what I mean? Like it's there where it's like, oh. And Vivian sees it. She calls it out. That's what I want. Well, you're not going to get that from Martin. His kids barely get any percentage of that. You sure as heck aren't getting any of it. So good luck to you. So correct me if I'm wrong, because I am not the most healthcare, professional. That is an empty syringe. Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So this is like an air embolism, right? So we're pushing the air into. Okay, that's what I thought.
Good job.
I didn't want to sound that. I was like, oh man, Caroline's gonna be like, nah, idiot. Like clearly she did this. But I at least knew from things I've heard and read, like, okay, this, and she started to twist it. I was like, there's no syringe on the end, and then I was like, oh, and I actually knew for once in my life. I was like, oh, embolism. Oh no, this is not good. All right, so let's talk about embolisms.
Yeah, no, this is so long story short, this is why whenever you inject anything into somebody, you flick the syringe to try and get like air bubbles and stuff out, because you don't want that getting in there. Shout out to the first time that I ever saw this in a horror movie. If anyone's seen the remake of The Omen, with what's her face? She was in Dexter. I forget her name. Popular actress. She was in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Julia Stiles?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Julia Stiles was in this remake, and you see it was a whole thing. That was the first time that I saw what it did. You don't want air in there. Period, because it basically can act like a regular blood clot, and once it gets into your lungs, it can basically mess with your heart pumping and just kind of mess things up. And
so does anybody know, in terms of Tom's performance, is that pretty dead on how someone would react if that was happening? I don't have any experience. I mean, it looked good to me, but is that really
so
I mean, it's Tom, of course it looks good, but
I looked it up, and there's a lot of like uncertainty as to like how much it depends on first how much air is involved, and then there's a lot of things, but most of the time it looked like it wasn't like immediate as it was in this show. It would probably happen soon, considering that was, at least from what it looked like that was a lot of air.
Yeah, like that was like a good half of like a thick syringe.
Yes, exactly. So, without being able to measure it, like it would obviously kick in quickly, I would say within the same day. But I don't think it would be that immediate. However, she also did like inject it straight into him instead of like in The Omen, the woman injects it through an IV and you literally watch it like that.
Yeah, just wait.
Which is so regardless, it's
really like sometimes I know that movies and TV shows kind of have to go for like the overacted response to things because it's drama, right? And
yes,
like what if it's like, oh, okay, when embolism makes you fall asleep, like that's not exciting. Like you need to like like you need those like, oh my god, tension moments. And so I was just curious, like, is that really how it goes down, or is it just like a quiet good night? Like what happens to somebody when that happens?
it was like the same thing that happened with the Botox thing in that episode. Yeah, it was like it's gonna happen fast, but not that fast. I don't think.
Just like finding fingerprints and DNA evidence doesn't come back to them that fast in the TV
it's like we don't have time for the real time that's involved in this stuff.
We gotta fake some of this.
We can't wait 4 weeks, so
fake it to
let's
make
give it some like 4 minutes.
Yeah, literally.
So I love, and again, because I love like wumpy drama moments, I adore the moment that happens. It's a split second when Dr. Capshaw says, when was the last time you mitigated an embolism? And then just Martin's for a split second, oh God. And Malcolm turns and he's like, oh God. And like just the reaction is part, like that emotion is what I like about Wump. And so they're like, oh no. Face was just like, oh yay. I know I'm horrible. I don't even care. Like, oh my God, this is intense. And that's what like my brain is like, intensity. I love intensity.
Yeah, no, and my brain was like, I see this so many times. Not people with an air embolism, but people who have a pulmonary embolism. And so I'm like, like this can mess
I'm sure
you up.
It would feel different if I was dealing with this on a daily basis for real lives. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. I had a Martin Malcolm reaction, whereas you were like,
I'm going, you're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, as Martin points out, like they don't have the equipment and stuff to do that.
I love that we get like the surgeon comes out a couple times in this episode. Like he has been very subdued for whatever reason, whether that's by choice, whether that's, maybe, I got laid, so I'm in a better mood these days. But that like there are a couple times when he's laying in bed, he does the rawr yell, and then he does the threatening to her, like, I will bring hell, I will, I will let you live, I won't kill you, you'll live in misery, blah blah blah. And I'm like, there's the surgeon. Hi honey, missed you. And again, Catherine Zeta with the tears as she's having like normal conversation and stuff. Like, I mean, it's amazing.
Yep.
Amazing, along with the sounds that Tom made as Malcolm that made me very happy because I like wonky sounds. This is another episode that was just very intense, kind of from beginning to end. There wasn't any kind of scenes that were just like boring. Let's move on. Like their stuff was hitting the fan pretty generally.
Yeah, there was no respite. Period.
Yeah, true. Oh, nice vocab word. High five.
Yeah, this scene between the two of them was I don't know, just like absolutely incredible, and the just intensity. I mean, there was intensity through the entire episode, obviously, but every season.
I enjoyed the black color scheme for this.
Yes.
Like when she originally is doing stuff to Martin, she's still in the blue cotton dress. She's being all lift and adorable. Yeah. And at this point now, we have Martin in like the or at least dark pants. I don't know if they're exactly black, but they're very dark. You have Malcolm in full black. You have her in full black leather boot. Like, I mean, there's like a darkness, death, omen kind of feel. Just with the color scheme of the wardrobe. Like, I mean, that's the kind of thing that wardrobe can do. Like, it can just give you a complete feel subconsciously for an entire scene or something like that.
Yeah. It sort of like represents the seriousness of the whole situation. Absolutely. Like, this is not Malcolm, falling out of a window and onto a car anymore. Like, this is like, he could die.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, he codes. Like, things have occurred.
Yeah.
Now, again, he's protected a little bit by plot armor. So, which if you don't know, that plot armor is a term for like, that this person is safe. Like they're so central to the story that they can't die. So not anyone ever in a Game of Thrones book.
Yeah, this is not Jesus from The Walking Dead anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, I'm moving on. At 38:31. We have the phone call, the 911 call that just tells you everything you need to know about Capshaw. She goes from straight-faced to he's gonna kill me to just straight-faced again as soon as she's off the phone. Like, homegirl is full on in it. Like, she is not even playing.
Yeah, this Amy Dunn motherfucker. Sorry.
It's cool. I've dropped the bomb like 12 times.
We're just going off on
We're
this
either
one.
getting the explicit E or she's going to have to bleep us every single time. It's one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, she's creepy.
Yeah, and this is we've seen this before. We've seen Martin himself do this. At the end of season 1, he goes from being strangled in his cell to gouging out a guy's eyes to, "Hi, I'm Martin." JT.
Oh, you're JT.
Like, just that total flip that we just we were just like, our jaws were on the floor and we were like, did he really just do that? Yep. Yes.
Which is why I love all the more that as Martin goes to save Malcolm, he's like, there's something seriously wrong with that woman. It's like, yeah, no, duh.
Hi,
We've been saying that for a few episodes.
Yes.
Pot.
Exactly. Duh.
There's a lot of lines in this, and I have missed some of them going through the episode, but there's a lot of lines that parallel Capshaw to Martin. I mean, she says it a million times that, like, especially in this episode, that like we're the same kind of person, like we do the same thing, and she wants him to see how similar they are. And then we get this flip with the 911 call. And like I just said, we've seen Martin do that.
They're a match made in the 7th circle of hell.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
Full on. Like them, then Satan. Like that's how that's gonna go. Like Satan officiated that shit. Like that's how big it is.
Mm-hmm.
At 3940, we have Malcolm and the whole "You Saved My Life," which I could
don't
talk
get me
about.
Started on this one.
I could talk about this for an entire episode.
God, I do have something to say with this one too.
Okay, well, you go first then.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I wrote it in Discord or whatnot, but I went, hold up, full stop. First of all, Capshaw wanted to be the one to get that gratification from reviving him after putting him to the brink of death. But because of needing to go figure out what the hell was happening outside, that left space for Martin to now get that gratification of reviving Malcolm. And his "You Saved My Life," Britt picked up on it. I don't know if anybody else did when I said it in Discord. And I went, cue the song "Monsters" from All Time Low, because if anyone has heard me say anything about that or watched the video that Britt made for it, it is a perfect description of their very toxic relationship, and he keeps running back to him. And I went, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. We had multiple things that Danny said of like, you can get away from him, you can be free, and nope, you saved my life. And I was like, well, forget that. He's gonna follow him like a puppy dog.
Here's the other thing though, like it's not even just like daddy, whatever, like he's genuinely like shocked.
Yeah.
Like, so even the whole relationship and going back to Papa Bear thing aside, to me, the shock on his face kind of blew my mind. I'm like, of course he did. Like, if nothing else, Martin needs Malcolm to manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do think there's like a tiny percentage that like that's his kid.
Yep.
Probably. I really do. Like just like conversely, Malcolm has that feeling about like I think Martin is of the only I get to kill you mentality when it comes to people like that. You know, it's like when like I can fight my brother, but you don't get to fight my brother, or I'll fight you. It's like that kind of thing.
Yes.
And I just like, he's like, oh my God, you saved my life. It's like, well, yeah, of all the people in this room, of course, that's, you know, he would obviously do that. And I just wrote, Malcolm, you don't owe this man anything, because we all know that's exactly where his brain is going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, he saved my life. Now I owe you. It's like, no, you do not owe him a damn thing other than cuffs or an electric chair. That's what you owe him.
Yep.
Firing squad, hanging, guillotine, something.
Yep.
My God.
Let Danny finally blow his head off like she's going
oh my God, like,
she said multiple times.
If that wouldn't kill Brightwell for eternity, I would say let's do it. Absolutely.
Yes, please.
So right after that, at 40:07, Capshaw, you know, full on stabs herself in front of everybody, because that's a normal thing people do.
Yep. Calmly.
Again, Amy Dunn.
And but not calmly. That scream.
The
that
scream afterward.
like,
the scream after.
That sounds like that was actually her. I know sometimes they have like voice doubles for things and not just singing, like because they don't want to demolish, Christian Borle's pipes or something like that. But that sounds similar to how her voice cracked and screamed when she begged Martin not to go in the infirmary.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think there's a chance that was her actually doing that. And that was like at the horror movie awards, that's best scream. For sure.
Yeah, it was.
Caroline, thoughts on the scream?
I am so happy that people on Twitter
that was great.
Our girl Mary, I forget her name, her like @ name, but she was like, "Hey, what'd you think of that scream?" And I was like, I'm so glad that everybody thinks of me now when someone clears their throat or coughs too much or screams. This is making my power stronger.
Oh no! Here we go.
Yeah, no, that's just
cool. I'm the music cues, and you're the speech stuff. Like
I'm the vocal abuse. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that was, you could tell that was genuine. You could hear her. I could hear her vocal folds with that. That was like, I hope that she relaxed after that one.
Yeah, there are ways to safely scream. I mean,
there are
singers practice it a lot.
Singers know how to do that. Yeah, otherwise Linkin Park would have had one song on an album, and then they would have never recorded a song ever again. Yeah. I mean, there's screamo metal people with 20-year careers and stuff like that.
I have. You can watch screamo emo like people's vocal folds moving. I've seen it. It's really cool, actually, what they're able to do. Yeah,
it's a science. Like they have it down to a science to save their voice. Yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of awesome.
You can do it. You just got to do it the right way.
Yeah, exactly. It's called voice therapy. Friggin' SLP. God damn it. Yeah.
She's over there like, I need a cold rag, y'all. I need a cold rag. So then we have, Capshaw has sold Danny and Ainsley. Oh my God, he tried to kill me. Which I was hoping Ainsley would be like, you're singing my song. I know for sure what you are, who you are. I got you on notice right now. And maybe she will later. I don't know. We'll talk about preview stuff in a minute. But we have Malcolm tells Martin to run.
Yep.
Which honestly, given how he was also, I'm not shocked. Like, I'm not shocked given how the whole season and the previous season has gone. Like, he can't be the one or the reason why he gets taken in. Like, it needs to be, if you get caught of your own accord, that's fine. Yeah. But you have to go. You have to get out of here. And I adore the Bob Marley they play in this final scene. The song is Sun is Shining, and it happens to be the super duper remix, which makes me laugh so hard to say. That is literally the professional name of the song.
Yeah, I thought I saw that come up on the screen because I have the subtitles on it. I was like, did that say what I think it said?
And so it is the song Sun is Shining, which if you know Marley at all, a lot of it is very kind of upbeat, happy, like sun is shining, life's living, blah, blah, blah. And it's a very cool way to montage like Danny looking for them and where are they, and then the escape essentially at the end. According to the podcast we mentioned earlier, also the original screener music cue for this was Streets of No Name by U2. So I'm interested, like Tom even brings up, he goes, oh, you might have to change that, you might have to go back and re-record that question because we switched it. And they're like, oh really? And they're like kind of talking about it. And he said, don't worry though, this one's better. Like he was really excited about the song at the end. He really liked it, which made me happy. So yeah, like to have such a devastating and dark kind of episode, we end on like this kind of reggae remix of like, life's good, man, And then sure enough, there's Martin driving away with his like, ha ha ha, like evil laugh. And as I predicted, pan to the rest of the boat, there sits Malcolm. Now I predicted Malcolm was going to be in that boat willingly. I missed that part. I missed the parlay bet of that. But yeah, so he has been brought there not of his own accord. Like Malcolm had kind of passed out a little bit. Like he just tells him to run and then he falls back and he's trying to like rest. And so for all he knew, he was going to wake up in that bed or wherever and, ambulance, a hospital somewhere. And so he did not go by choice. And so that's an interesting and I think important thing so far for us to consider.
Yeah.
And now we have some preview stuff to dissect. So, I am not going to go play by play for this whole thing, just for a couple reasons, honestly. Like I'm both disgusted, terrified, and humored by the fact that they apparently dyed or CG dyed Martin's hair.
Yeah.
I am not okay with it. It is creepy AF.
Oh boy.
And here's the thing. Here's the best part of this. And I hope Malcolm brings it up. Him dyeing that hair and that beard a like 2 shades off shade of blonde isn't fooling anyone looking for the description. No one's gonna see him and be like, oh shit, it's not a salt and pepper beard. And then they just keep walking. Like, it's Martin freaking Whitley. I don't care if it's purple. It's Martin Whitley. Like, so that made me chuckle, and I really hope Malcolm just goes, oh my God, no. Like, he just brings it up completely.
I mean, doesn't he, like, you look at his face and he's like, what the hell did you do? Like, that's...
Like, you know, he's going to wake up in this chair to Martin and be like, what the hell? Like, it's not going to be, I'm tied to a chair. You took me. I had an embolism. Am I okay? Like, it's going to be your hair. Really? My God.
It's like, Martin, the Clairol from 1998 is not the same as what they have now. Like, you gotta just...
Like, he got Just for Men for beard or something. Gosh. So anyway, so the rest of we have both the Canadian promo and the American. Let's not pretend like Americans are regular. The other promo. And it really just, it kind of looks like there's going to be some kind of, are they bonding? Are they not? Is Malcolm there willingly? Is he not? Like, and again, that's is he his son? Is he not his son? That's the teeter-totter scales we've been on, you know, for 2 seasons now. Given the news that we deliberately ignored until this point in the show because we wanted to bring the show normally, as I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
Nobody broke down that episode. Well, we got canceled.
All right, so let's not start.
Yeah.
So given that news, I am interested in whether or not Martin survives this finale based on some things that happen. It looks like there's a standoff between him and Malcolm. The Instagram account is writing, I was wrong, with Malcolm's face behind it. So here's my theory. My theory is that from the Canadian preview, we hear Martin say, like, you brought him back out of me, meaning the surgeon, I'm guessing, is the conversation he says to Malcolm. And then he also says, I was a good father, you were a bad son.
Like, and what a way to destroy him.
And then we see that yes, I know. And then we see that there's some type of confrontation, commotion going on between them and things. So I'm really concerned as whether or not Martin is going to survive it. I don't know. We also have to consider the fact that Michael is a very in-demand actor. He has a new child that's less than 2 years old. He's flying back and forth from England to New York. I'm intrigued. I have no proof. This is all speculation, of course. So I'm intrigued. And if he does die, I'm really intrigued as to by who. I think the full circle route, and especially if, God forbid, this is, you know, the last episode we're going to see, would be for Malcolm to do it. I think that's full circle, both from the we're the same standpoint, because now Malcolm's a killer, because technically he's not at this point. I think that's just a whole full circle route. I could see Gil being the I wanted him dead too. If they walk up on the two of them in a confrontation, the minute Gil gets a shot for him, he's saving Malcolm's life no matter what, because that's his kid. Some people joke like, oh, Danny's going to take him out finally, but I really hope that's not the case, because that kills any chance of Brightwell, in my opinion. I don't think Malcolm can be with the person that killed his father. Even if he's totally in agreement, not mad, whatever, I think that just kills a long-term relationship possibility there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, all speculation. Who knows, really? Who knows what's going on?
Yeah.
I know that we have to push. We have to kind of keep the whole campaign going, the Save Prodigal Son thing, and let's hardcore bug the bejesus out of HBO Max.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, straight up unfollow all of Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at that point now. Like, I had to unfollow them because I was so sick of seeing their backhanded bullshit posts.
Yeah,
about,
they were so tone deaf.
Oh, who's your favorite ship? Or, oh man, mental health awareness. Like, I can't. It's like, sit down. Your time is no longer here, so be gone. Like, yeah, like honestly, and especially considering they weren't exactly just rolling the red carpet's worth of promo out to begin with.
Yeah.
They have done more promotion and more comments about this show since Monday when they canceled the damn thing than they have the whole second season. And I have to be a professional. I'm a teacher. I'm also a professional on a podcast about the show. Like I have to, but I really, every single time they say something, I just want to throw a bag of middle fingers in their face and be like, you don't get to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You killed it. You shut it down with no faith after you changed the time slot and put them up against FBI and This Is Us. And where's your viewers? The 8 million Tuesday night viewers are on NBC watching This Is Us. That's where they are. Like
that, and they used us to win
to get the resident,
so they could switch. Well, that we gave the resident ratings while we're sitting there waiting for Prodigal Son to turn on.
Yep.
But they also took us from Monday night on season 1 and put us on Tuesday so that they could put their 2 911 shows back to back. That made a void right there on Monday that they were guaranteed to have viewers for people who didn't realize that they got moved to Tuesday for Prodigal Son.
And Lone Star has not done the numbers that it should. Now it's still the connected one, so they're going to get renewed. That's fine. But it has not blown the numbers in that slot out of the water by any, even though their lead-in is their sister show.
Yeah.
Just saying is all. And I'm not trying to hate on those other shows. Like for people that are like, I watch both. Like, listen, I'm not, whatever. I'm not mad. I'm not hating. But we already get screwed because Fox has 10 o'clock news. So we lose an hour every single night of prime time. Which if they did 11 o'clock news, Prodigal Son would have been picked up immediately.
Yeah.
It absolutely would. So that pisses me off. But I'm so frustrated. We could all go on for days and hours and years about it. But here's what we do. So we are left with the final week. We will find out sometime after that final week, after contracts are up and everyone can kind of speak their mind a little bit. And we'll see if someone else is going to pick it up. I think we have a decent shot. If all the actors are indeed coming back, or if they at least have an idea about if Michael were to leave, what's the pitch? Because, they had to have had a season 3 pitch ready. We know that. As long as Tom is on board, it can be done. It absolutely can be done. He's the main person that like, okay, if he decides no, thank you, then that's it. Shut down. We're over.
Yeah.
And not to say that anyone else is lesser by any means, but he is the entire spinal cord of this show. You cannot do it without him.
He's number one on the call sheet.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, like Walking Dead, what's his face was number 1 on the call sheet too, and he walked off and they kept going. Like this show cannot run that way.
No.
Andrew Lincoln, sorry. So yeah, like this, I was like, I know it. It'll come to me in a minute. But like this show cannot run that way. Like it's just not possible. The amount of scenes he's in, they would have like 2 minutes of footage if Malcolm wasn't in an episode. So we just have to keep pushing. We have to keep the numbers up. We have to show HBO and other streaming services that look like the army's out there.
There's people here.
We've got podcasts already. You don't have to make your own podcast. You can just hire us as the official HBO podcast.
Hi. We do it.
I would gladly quit my job and talk about Prodigal Son
looking for a new one. Yeah, I'm looking for a new job. So
just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just have to keep the faith and we have to keep the numbers up, and it's going to be really easy in the in-between sometimes when there's a lull and there's not an episode, like on the weekends and other stuff.
Yeah.
But you really kind of have to just push. Even if you're retweeting, we know that those retweets count. So if you don't have new stuff to say, great. Just go through the timeline and retweet everything you can see for like 10, 15 minutes. Everybody is on their phone for like a good 10 minutes out of an hour, unless you're at a special event, at least. So just every now and then, just get on there, retweet it, get the voice out, and let's hope. I mean, I think we have a decent shot. If all of our actors are coming back, I think we have a very decent shot for that to happen.
Yeah.
Just continue to kind of, spam the crap out of places like HBO and stuff and show, look, like we're here, we're not going away.
Yeah.
Maybe appease the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like don't just say things, like do things. Like if you say that you're being truthful, like prove it to me. Just
I agree.
Be genuine.
Yes. In general, but especially for this too.
Yes.
Yeah. I do want to say I am definitely proud of the fandom, because when this news broke on Monday, we had about 8 to 12 hours of pure rage and
hellfire.
We were all a part of it. I had a tweet that I will admit I had a tweet that I tagged Fox in, and I swore, and I was angry and we spent, we are going through the stages of grief with this whole thing. But I am really proud of the fandom because we, like I said, had a short period of time where we were raging on Twitter and tagging Fox and things and screaming at them angry, and then it shifted into, okay, how can we be proactive and stop screaming at Fox and stop making ourselves look bad, and instead of demanding and beating a dead horse because they're done with the show, apparently.
That's the thing. There's no fixing that.
There's no fixing that.
It's done.
And Fox does this over and over and over with shows that people get hooked on.
The best thing you can do is don't turn on Fox.
Yeah.
That's the best thing you can do. Unsubscribe if you have anything. Unlike any of their social media, the best thing you can do is not to snark off. And I did it too. I said a couple things too. Don't give them nasty gifts, because you know what those are? Those are comments on their social media.
Yeah, it's just another number.
It all helps their analytics. So the best thing to do is wipe them off your map. That's the best thing you can do.
And trade it over. Trade it over for HBO Max.
That's right.
So I'm just proud that we were able to, in a short time that we pivoted from, rage and grief to,
and there hasn't been as much of just like the, dirty comments and this and that. Like, we're still, anytime somebody posts something about Prodigal Son, they're like, shut up. But other than that, the expletives and the inappropriateness has kicked down. And I get it. Like, we were all pissed. That's no judgment there. I get that.
Yeah. You're allowed to throw a temper tantrum for 5 minutes or whatever. You're allowed to cry and let it all out. And then you need to come back and be decent.
And we do. So we have a plan. We have lots of different accounts and different people out there working the streets and kind of guiding us. And all you have to do is follow and do what they do and, send the tweets out. Please remember, because so many people forget this, and then I'll hush and we'll turn it off. 2 hashtags. That's it. Some people are doing like 19 in a row, like 2, anything over 2 is spam and it doesn't get counted. 2, if you want to @, people and tag them, great, but only 2 hashtags or you just slip away and it doesn't count. So make sure that you're doing that. And honestly, right now we just kind of have to sit back and do that every day until we figure out what's going on. And at least like they said, it's something proactive to do. And then we'll see what happens. So hopefully, next week is not going to be the last episode of Prodigal Son C.S.A. Hopefully we'll have some more stuff to do, because we've got ideas. We've got ideas
for things. We do have ideas.
So that's the goal. The goal is for us to be bugging the piss out of you for about 28 episodes next season. That's the goal. On that note, we will definitely see you for sure next week. So we'll see you guys later.
Okay, bye.